is Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight. Visit titansbanking.com to learn about their convenient mobile banking. Pinnacle Financial Partners, member FDIC. I'm Amie Wells. Keith Bulluck is here. It's his show. And Rhett Bryan is also here. Guys, it's week 5 already. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Long week 5.
Whoa,
Long week 5.
Now, what makes you say that, Keith
I feel
Bulluck?
like I've been here before a couple times.
It feels equally to me as though this season has shot by the first 4 games, and also as if we've been in season for about 300 months. Like, it feels like training camp was light years ago. But it feels like all of a sudden we're in week 5, and I mean, fall is falling and autumn is
not
upon
enough
us.
yet. Not enough.
I
It's
know,
still
but
hot here, but
the
yes.
leaves are turning. They're probably just dying because they're dry, but whatever. The
Football
leaves are
weather.
still
Could be.
turning. Yeah, right? However, the Titans are not where they want to be. 0-4. Not how you want to be going into week 5, but it's the reality of the situation right now. Keith Bulluck, you have been in these situations before. As a leader in the locker room, what's your message to the team?
It depends on what the locker room's like. You know, and to be fair, the team that I was 0-6 on, we started the season before 10-0, so it's 2 different things. But what doesn't change is the scene in the locker room. And what I mean by that, you know, on the outside, we're not privy to what actually takes place in the locker room. I remember a season, my second year here, when we weren't playing well. I think we may have lost 3 games in a row. And we were only 7-9 this particular year. And, you know, the senior linebacker in my room, Eddie Robinson, he just noticed that everybody was, you know, after practice rushing back in to get to the players' lounge to shoot pool or play ping pong or just, you know, whatever it was. And I remember him specifically going in there, breaking the pool sticks and taking all the ping pong paddles, because at the end of the day, yeah, the players' lounge is a place for you to relax and, you know, get some time. But when you're not playing good football, you know, no one deserves to be in the players' lounge. And, you know, during my tenure, I wouldn't say the 0-6 team, but there was 2 years where we were 5-11, then we went 4-12. But when I played, there were former players that played here in the building. Marcus Robinson being one of them. And during that stretch, when, you know, that second year when we were 4-12 early in that season, he told me, you know, you're too good of a player to accept the things that are going on. And, you know, when you're not winning, you're usually playing with younger guys that haven't been in the position and they don't really know what the expectation is. And me being someone that played with Mark Robb, and that he was a part of the team that took this Titans organization to the Super Bowl, I kind of, got the drift. And Jeff Fisher said to me at one point, because he could see my frustration on the film, when you watch the film, you know, players miss a tackle, my body language, throwing my arms up, you know, and then I noticed that looks terrible on film, because what I do know is these guys that go out every Sunday right now are not trying to mess up. They're not trying to, you know, do the wrong things, but look, things happen fast, you know, and, you know, I was just telling Coach Mack as we were walking in here, football is not easy. If it was, everyone would do it. But, you know, I just started to demand accountability from my teammates. And we did have a bunch of guys that would go before practice. They're in the lockers playing Mario Kart, Super Nintendo, and then after practice, they're coming back so they can get back to their paused Super Nintendo Mario Kart. So I went and I broke the whole thing. You know, I left them $400 or $500 to repay it, but we're not playing no games. The only games that we're playing is after practice and after we watch film with our coach, defense. We're watching film as a defense for 45 minutes. We're going to order some food in here. We're going to watch practice as a defense for 45 minutes. The offense used to do that too. Their leaders would get them together to sit down and watch our opponents, so we don't have those mental mistakes. And at least we are showing that, we care enough to put the extra time in when we're not supposed to be in the building after work hours to study our opponent because it means that much to me. And I'm not saying that's not happening here. They could be doing that every single day and morning, but I know that's what it starts, and it starts with what's actually taking place within the locker room amongst the team.
Well, and it also takes leaders who are not afraid to speak up and say, hey guys, we need to do something radically different. And B, it takes leaders who are able to notice things and kind of read the room and find places where they can insert themselves. Cam Ward is what comes to mind when you tell those stories, because he's a guy who has publicly taken accountability for things that are going on. He is somebody who we know is not afraid to speak his mind, but he's also someone who has a really good way about him. Even as a young guy, as a rookie player, he's great at relating to guys where they are and figuring out how to communicate with each guy. I would assume, and I don't know this, but I would assume that when you went in and destroyed essentially everybody's Nintendos, you also knew these guys enough to know that, yeah, this might make them a little angry, but this isn't going to destroy everything about him, because you knew him. You had an idea of what that relationship was, right?
Well, at this point, I was an all-pro player, so I don't feel
Right.
like it's fair to put it on Cam Ward to have to get these guys going. These guys are supposed to be teaching him as a rookie who's only played 4 games how to be a professional, the approach to take. You bring guys in for big money that are veterans that are supposed to set the tone. Those are the guys that are supposed to do that. So those are the people that are actually letting the rookie down. If these guys that were brought in that have played, over 100 games and so on and so however many years in the NFL, these are the guys the organization brought in to take steps forward. The organization brought in Kevin Mawai, Chris Hope, and David Thornton. These guys, David Thornton wasn't a first-round draft pick. Chris Hope wasn't a first-round draft pick. Kevin White, Hall of Famer. But these guys come from organizations that won football games and there was a way to win. And, we have some guys that come from those organizations. So that's where the leadership really needs to come from. Big Jeff has been here the entire time. He's going to go down with the ship of the Tennessee Titans. I was that player. And honestly, when we were 4-12 and 5-11, I didn't think about asking for a trade or anything like that. But had I had to do it again, I would probably ask for a trade because I went through those times and I feel like a great part of my good football wasn't acknowledged, was missed. So, I call those empty seasons. Right now, these are empty seasons. When you're not playing for anything, you're just in the league representing the name on the back of your jersey and the symbol on your helmet, which is the Titans symbol. And until you get a nucleus of guys that work in that fashion, it's going to be tough.
Well, the Titans have some veteran players right now who, on the field especially, are really showing out. One of those guys is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard has been running incredibly hard and bearing a tremendous portion of the run game just on his shoulders due to injury and due to other things. He has 261 rushing yards and a touchdown so far this season. How important is it to see those grinded out guys, the guys who have the tough jobs, continue to show up week after week? Is that motivating to a team?
It's motivating, but it's going to be tough for Tony Pollard to finish the season if he's going to have to take, so much of the workload, and hopefully Tajay Spears comes back. But, yes, he's definitely that's one of the things that you try and do. That's the type of player you try and be when your team isn't playing up to their ability. You try and be the bright spot in a dull situation that, shines light on other people, that kind of brings people along, because at this point there's nothing to talk about, for anyone, because everyone's saying the same thing. I think actions speak louder than words for everyone. And I know everyone in that locker room feels the same way, but it's their job to answer, the same redundant questions week in and week out, especially if you're losing. But once again, it comes down to the guys up front. Tony Pollard could be doing way more because we know he's explosive. And for the last 2 years, we've been hearing about Bertha. Well, Bertha ain't really paying off because I feel as if these guys have to move this 400-pound sled, why can they not get pushed off the line of scrimmage? And that's just from the outside, like looking in when I watch on Sundays and being a listener and a fan of the Titans.
For those of you who are new here, Bertha is not a human. She is a sled.
And she has a sister named Olga.
Yes, and she is
There's two of them?
Yeah, there's
Bertha
two
and
of them.
Olga.
And they are rather difficult to manage, but the offensive line works out on those all the time. You mentioned Tajay Spears. Little news. Tajay Spears was moved to the team's designated to return to practice list, meaning that his window has opened for him to
21-day window.
come back off of injured reserve and return to the team. So we are excited about that, seeing him out at practice, seeing how he is able to get back onto the field. Rhett, give us a little Tajay Spears thumbnail. Could you tell us a little bit about what he will provide for this offense and how he will spell Tony Pollard a little bit?
It's a couple things because Keith said it, and that's the reason why some of this stuff with the offense has happened the way it has in the first 4 games. They're trying to keep Tony Pollard upright, healthy. The guy's getting contact every play because he's a running back. And we saw down the stretch how he got banged up because he was used so much. And he was actually inactive in week 17. And Tajay started that game in Jacksonville. So the news of Tajay coming into the mix in this is huge because, yes, both of them have very similar skill sets, but there are some things that Tony does better than Tajay and vice versa. And if for no other reason, the whole deal of nobody's coming to save you. Well, in the running back room, number 2 is on his way back. And that's a big deal because we've seen what Tajay can do, and I think he can help with that run game, not only in giving Tony Pollard some rest and reps, off of this, but the practice reps that are split up and all those kinds of things. It's nothing but a good thing to have Tajay Spears back into the mix.
Yeah, I agree with Rhett. And, it's funny because I remember, having a conversation with Chris Johnson and Lindo White, Smash and Dash, and they said the hardest game that they ever played that they remember is when we went up and we were 10-0 and we played the Bears up in Soldier Field. And Chris, they both were like, well, I'm glad we had to keep switching. We had a rotation because, that was a tough game that they feel if they just had to be them in a game like that, neither one said they wouldn't have made it. It would have been a tough game. So that brings me fast forward to Tony Pollard having to, and I didn't even take into account the practice reps that he has to get the game plan in. Tajay Spears, he was one of those guys that was having a really good preseason camp. He's in a contract year. Tajay Spears is one of the guys I had an opportunity to speak with this summer. And every time, I come across a Titans player and I get an opportunity to speak to him, I speak to him very real and very candidly about, whatever their goals are and what they want to be in this league. And Tajay shared some of those things with me. And I told him, look, man, well, I tell you what, this is your 3rd year. You're on the last year of your deal. This is the year to make it happen. So, if all those things that you want to aspire for you as a professional athlete, as a football player, this is your year. So it was interesting. It was great to hear when I was hearing how well he was doing in preseason camp because he got the memo. So he's someone I'm definitely looking forward to see. And not for nothing, man, I would like to see, and I know that the different pass protections may cause tight ends to stay in, so on and so forth. But I would love to see Chigakonkwo get into the offense a little bit more. I know we're working things out with new signal caller, so on and so forth. But I think some of those running back screens we're running could very easily be tight end screens. And, just to throw the defenses off a little bit, give them a little something to think about.
Tajay Spears, you know how big a fan I am of him. And the positive person that he is, the energy that he brings, I think that's something that this Titans team, people can go down a list of things they think they need. I think that's one of them that is, because he's hasn't practiced in 6 weeks. He went out with an ankle in that Tampa preseason game, and a lot has happened since then. And so he has perspective coming back into the mix of this thing.
Yeah, and you know what? If you put, it's been 4 games. It's been a quarter of the season. If you look at these 4 games, the way I break it down is the defense has held the offense held the team in every single game. Special teams has come through and, put the offense and put the team in great position. These games have been winnable, even though they started off with a tough schedule. The Rams were tough. Denver was tough. Had some games that were more winnable, but for the most part, those are like top-notch teams. That being said, the offense has to show up this week. If you're just being fair about everything, where the team is, and Big Jeff said it last week, the playmakers have to step up and make plays, and no one's saying that they're not trying to do that. It's about game planning. The NFL is a copycat league. Coach Max says it all the time. Well, it's time for the Titans to start copying and using some plays that were affected the week before, the following week, because I remember as a player what worked against us the week before. You best believe our next opponent were running those plays.
Right, and Denard Wilson in the coordinator's availability this week. We need to stop playing 30 minutes and 45 minutes. We need to play 60 minutes. We need to finish what we start. Yep. We need to play 4 quarters. And, that there's just so many fundamental things that seem so elementary that I think is the place where they start in this. It's just – but you're right about the schedule. I mean, that wasn't a cakewalk going through all that. And, you're in the second of 3 straight road games right now. And there's a lot of tough – I mean, it's a battle every week. You know that.
Yeah, every week.
You did it.
Every game is winnable. So that's why, you watch the film on Monday because it's never as bad as you think. You see all the areas where things went wrong. Football is definitely a game of inches, sometimes yards. But that's why I say it starts in that locker room because everyone needs to be in it together. Everyone needs to be on the same page. And to be honest, the leaders that are making plays needs to hold their teammates accountable, even if it means getting in somebody's butt sometimes, because at the end of the day, I was about that. Kyle Vanderbosch called me Captain A-hole, and that's fine because, 0-4 sucks. Losing in the NFL sucks. I didn't want to watch SportsCenter because I didn't want to hear them talk about how bad my team was. And then the next year is like, forget that. I know I don't suck because I represent the name on the back of my jersey. So if we as a team want to get up to that, those people that feel they don't suck need to show it on Sundays and hold those guys that are sucking accountable.
All right. Well, we don't suck here on this show, so we are going to take a quick break. But when we come back, I want to talk about Big Jeff and a quick play that he made last week. So stick around. Welcome back to Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight. Amie Wells here with Rhett, Bryan, and, of course, Keith Bulluck. It is his show after all. Keith, I want to talk to you about Big Jeff because it feels as though in all of the hullabaloo, what gets lost sometimes is how good Jeffery Simmons is playing right now. He is playing phenomenal football, and I want to hear from someone who is an expert in defensive football specifically. What is going so right for Jeffery Simmons right now?
Well, he's a dominant player. He's always been that player. He's just playing his game. He's playing his game. He's making the plays that come to him. He's making some plays that don't come to him, and he's forcing the offense to make adjustments around him. But that's one player, So when it starts to really gel, then you get people next to him doing that. Then you get people, in the linebackers, making tackles for loss. And then now the ball's starting to come out quicker because the quarterback has to worry about the pass rush. Now your secondary can get a little more involved and, make some interceptions because the quarterback doesn't have all day. But I feel like Jeff is one of those players that I was speaking about in the last segment that, look, if the team and the fan base is looking for you to, be a certain player, I think he's answering that call. Like, I've been in Jeffery Simmons' shoes before. My brother said, I remember, I think it was like 2005, I was on the cover of the Titans yearbook or however it goes, and Jeff's on the cover of the Titans yearbook this year.
Yeah.
So my brother said, yeah, you guys must have really had nobody if you're on the cover. I was like, oh, man. It was a joke, but my point is, like, normally you have CJ2K, Vince Young, so being in this position, a lot of responsibility comes from it. And I said I probably would have asked for a trade because me personally, I had to become a leader because that's what was asked of me at that time. I don't think just because you speak on the media doesn't make you a leader. That doesn't, if the media goes to you all the time, doesn't necessarily make you a leader. But when you become a leader, you have to be calculated about the way you speak. And to what you said about the Nintendos, like, did I have to worry about hurting people's feelings? No, I took the role as the villain, My role, like, you can go home, talk to your girlfriend about it, your mom about it, call your dad. I don't care. When you come in this building, we're here to work, and that was my mentality. This is a Fortune 500 company, like, hands down, and that was my approach because as a player in the NFL, you ain't nothing if you're not winning, most especially during the season. And then when your career is over, that's why we have some guys teetering the Hall of Fame, so on and so forth, because they may not have won the big game. Are they good enough players to go in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely, but got to win the game sometimes.
All right, let's hone in on Jeff as it pertains to something from your experience, specifically the interior defensive line and specifically what he's doing on the field. Because when I saw the 2.09 second quarterback sack that he had on Sunday in Houston,
amazing,
I immediately thought of your self-dubbed Tennessee Tyrants group. And there were 2 years, the last 2 years Albert Haynesworth was here. He was absolutely dominant in the middle of that line. And I think about you guys were defending the south end zone at Nissan Stadium in this game. Byron Leftwich was the quarterback. And he wasn't with Jacksonville this time. I think it was with the Falcons. The Falcons, that's right. And he busts through there, and he pulls down Byron Leftwich with one arm, one hand. And Byron Leftwich, we know, is a massive human being as a quarterback anyway. But you can speak to what that did because, golly, there's some good stuff around with Tony Brown and Kyle Vanden Bosch and, all those guys up front with you. But you can speak to what that looks like from your purview in that second level of the defense.
Yeah, I mean, and there was 2 plays that game. It was that play, and then it was on the goal line, and I think it was like for the game. It was like 3rd and maybe 4th and goal from the 2. And and they ran a toss sweep, off the line toss sweep. Byron Leftwich pitches it, and Albert leapfrogs the offensive line for the tackle, for the loss, for the game winner, and it's still one of the most unbelievable plays I've seen by a guy that size.
And Albert's bigger than Jeff.
But the way Jeffery Simmons, his motor, and for him to do it down and down and down and down and down again. He has his body in like the tip-top shape to be going for as long as that defense plays and stays on the field in the last 4 games. I just think that he's playing at an all-pro level, and unfortunately, the team isn't playing up to his level. So that's when the demand from him comes to his teammates. There was a year, I believe it was Vince Young's rookie year, we missed the playoffs. We lost to New England at home. We missed the playoffs by that game. If we would have won, we would have gotten to the playoffs. But then when I go and reevaluate the season, because I always did self-scout, I realized we were the 31st ranked defense in the league. So I go to Albert. I'm like, bro, it's OTAs. I'm like, yo, you know we were ranked 31st in defense. If we were like top 5, top 10, we're in the playoffs. So that year, we were top 5 defense. The next year, we were top 5 defense. So what I'm getting at is Big Jeff might have to go to one of his other dogs and be like, yo, just whisper a little something. I need you. I need you to show their importance because he's not going to be able to do it alone.
He can't.
Right. So he's going to have to go to the people in that locker room that really messes with him, that are foxhole guys. What I mean by foxhole guys is if the world were to end right now and we're in Walmart and I see, Rocky Boyman, bro, let's go. We're getting in a foxhole. You know what I mean? I say with Rocky because he's going to do all the nature stuff and all that.
Hey, choose wisely. And he is.
And he ain't no punk.
Much.
And he ain't no punk neither, so I know I'm going to be good.
He ain't no punk.
Yeah, but Rocky, man, he going to start a fire. He going to make sure we good.
Wilderness survival
Yes,
is in
yes.
his wheelhouse. Okay.
1,000%. That's my guy. And he ain't no punk, so I know we good.
But I just know what that's like because till Jeff has been playing, and Jeff has had a great career.
And it's lonely.
Multiple captainships, multiple Pro Bowls. But this stuff, and I think it stands out because of where things are with 0-4 record. But I'm going back going, man, Albert was a terror. He was a monster for those 2 seasons.
Well, I'll give you another one. And this is what I remember even just outside looking in. Jarrell Casey.
Yeah.
Jarrell Casey,
that's a good one.
Jarrell Casey was a beast, and he played a lot of empty seasons. But the Titans wouldn't have been able to get back to prominence if he didn't stick in it, if he didn't stay on people's backs, if he didn't go out there and perform the way he performed, even during the dark times. These are dark times. Like, I honestly vividly remember, after we go out, we're going to win. Coach says everything he says. We go out, we underperform. I pull up to the, I think it was a Tiger Mart then at Nipper's Corner, and there was this lady, just Taiwanese lady, and she would always say, "You play good. You play very good. You play," her English was off, but the point is,
she was paying attention.
Yes.
Yeah.
And saying stick with it, and I just started to go to that. That was my feel good on Sundays, to go to get whatever I was getting, and go back to my spot, sit in the dark. I was probably getting a 6-pack or something like that. Go sit in the dark because I wasn't watching, Sports Center at the time, but little things like that. So to the fellas, there are definitely people in the community that still believe, a lot of people within Titans Nations that still believe, and to stick and to end on what we were saying about Big Jeff, he is definitely a tremendous bright spot in a dull situation, and he has to start, and I'm not saying he's not, but just, get some guys that come along with him, because he can't be the only voice. People have to start being a voice, but you have to make plays too.
Well, that's a great story, because I'm glad you shared that, because that's a peek behind the curtain at sometimes small inspirational things come from unlikely sources, and that was one of them. So you went and revisited that particular convenience store knowing she'd be there and give you, you played bad today.
Well,
you played good today.
It was a running conversation.
Yeah.
It started to be a running conversation because she worked on Sundays, and then we talk about other things. Oh, so close, you're almost there. Just keep telling them because you played good. You know what I'm saying? Keep telling them.
I love that.
So that,
That's cute.
Not that's a true story, because that was a thing. It's man, let me go to my convenience store.
There you go.
Let me go to my
But when we win,
store.
the couple times we won is high fives, and then she was there also.
Maybe
when
won a 6-pack
when
too.
it turned around. When it turned around, you
Yeah.
know what I mean. So it was cool.
You remember the people that are there in the
Yeah,
rough
for
times,
sure.
That's it.
even
For
in the
sure.
good times.
Because there's so many people that aren't there for you.
All right. Well, we're going to take another quick break, but when we can turn, more Titans talk and maybe a preview of the Arizona Cardinals right after this. Back with more Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans tonight with Keith Bulluck, Amie Wells here, and Rhett Bryan. He's here too. Rhett, I want to talk to you about the Arizona Cardinals. The Tennessee Titans are going on the road. They're headed to Phoenix in sunny Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Don't see them a ton It's been a minute since we have played the Cardinals, and been
Mm-hmm.
more minutes since we've been to Phoenix.
8 years ago.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a long time. We were all different people back then. So tell me a little bit about the Cardinals. What have you been seeing, especially on their offense? Let's start there, the offensive side of the ball.
So they played Thursday Night Football last week against the Seattle Seahawks. They ended up dropping that game 23-20. They're 2-2 on the year, and their 2 losses have come by pretty much last moment's field goals. So they've been in every game, and on offense, the epicenter and the genesis of it is Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray, with the baseball background he's got, this has been his thing from day one coming into the league, is making schedules, making plays off schedule with his body. Not as much like a Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson, but certainly those attributes. The big thing that the Titans defense will have to watch is, and they've got some nice wide receivers, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is the big one. He's 6'3" and change, 78-inch wingspan, is becoming a combat catcher. Of his 16 targets, I think 3 of those are 91 yards and a score on that. He's been up and down in his career so far, and it really was evidenced by that game last Thursday. 5 targets in the first half, only 1 catch. 2 of them resulted in interceptions. One of them was in him. He ran in when he should have run out. The other one was off his fingertips. But the second half, he caught all of his targets, 58 yards and a score. That's the most targets he's had in a game in his career, 10 targets in this thing. So he's been a little inconsistent, and I'm a little concerned that he may have hit a switch from the second quarter on. We're going to find out. But that is one of those things. The biggest thing they got to watch is Trey McBride, the tight end. They run 13 personnel, which is 1 back, 1 receiver, and 3 tights. But those 3 tight ends are not in a stack. They do change them up all over the place. And Trey McBride is the genesis of where the ball goes through his hands. Nearly. You remember when we went to Charlotte to play the Carolina Panthers in 2019, and Christian McCaffrey was there, and like 45% of the offense went through his hands because he was a dual threat, catching out of the backfield. 30% of the wide receiver, or just the targets, receiver targets, go through Trey McBride's hands since the start of 2024.
Bully, you are having strong reactions to this assessment.
No,
Explain.
my reaction was that, Kyler Murray was a quarterback. He's been having his ups and downs through his career. Rhett hit it on the head. He makes a lot of his plays off schedule, when it comes to the passing game. But it's something that he just said, that 30% goes through the tight end, right? So I think that that's something that, I would do if I were a coach to try and get my young quarterback locked in. Another thing that, Rhett said that stuck out was Marvin Harrison Jr. having his struggles. Last week he did, have a big second half, but his dad, one of my teammates from college, and I remember Marvin Harrison Jr. when he was in high school, and his dad indirectly coaches him. So it's more of a psychology coaching. So it just kind of worries me that he might have the right psychological level. I'm just curious to see. I think it will be a great matchup, especially for Snead. I like how Snead, he's been reactive. Like when he gets called out, like he'll come back the next week. He's been reactive, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. People want to talk about the 2nd and 33 play last week. It was in cover 4, so that's a zone, meaning he has 1/4 of the field, and I believe the coach said that he expected help over top. Like Coach Wilson said, the only thing I say is just play your technique. Play your technique. Everything is fine, but that's not man-to-man. His specialty is man-to-man. So I like to see how that's going to match up. And with that, 31 personnel or 1-3 personnel, one running back and three tight ends, even if they spread it out, they can bring it in to cause matchup problems and run the ball. So, the Titans have done pretty well against the run in the first half. But as the defense stays on the field longer and longer, that's something that I hope that the Cardinals are not able to get to in the second half, to use that to keep the ball away from the Titans offense.
Well, you led me right to the next point, and that is they have had serious injury issues in the running back core. James Conner, a couple weeks ago, fractured and dislocated ankle. He's out for the year. Just as we are doing this show today, Trey Benson had a scope on meniscus scope. He's out for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
He was the big bell cow to go into this. They have Bam Knight. They have Michael Carter. I think the guy that's going to be the guy that runs is a guy that's been there for this is his third year, undrafted out of TCU, as Coach Mack would say, frog. Amie DeMercado, 5'11", 215, appeared in 31 games so far. Hadn't touched the ball a whole lot, so I think he's probably been a teamer if he's appeared in 31 games. But averages 6 yards a carry on only 86 attempts, 3 rushing touchdowns in his career. He had a 54-yarder last year. That's the guy I think that's going to end up being – but that is not James Conner. That is not Trey Benson. And I'm not knocking the young man, but that may be a place that the Titans' defense can be advantageous.
Look, I played this game for – I'm going to sound like Coach Mack real quick.
Back in my day.
I played this game professionally for 11 years and been outside for watching it for about 15 now. And what I'll say to that is, in my 11 years as a player, I played against a no-name running back. And he really bust our ass that day, because what I say is no running back in the NFL is a slouch, because you see Amie DeMercado on the depth chart, you're like, man, who's that guy? So then we go on to our next dangerous, right? As defensive players, we go on to our next dangerous. Oh, we're going to smack that guy, and then you don't take care of the basics. Amie gets going. And I believe, who it was? We went up to Denver during one of those 4-12, 5-11 years. It was a guy that we had here, rest in peace, Damian Nash.
Nash.
We went up to Denver. We weren't that good. They didn't have their, they had their fourth-string running back in. We had to deal with Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall, Dreesen. These are the people that we're worried about. Damian Nash, former Titan, was on the practice squad, never got a shot here. Gave us $140.
Woo.
Yeah,
Woo.
And me, I'm not thinking about Damian. Nobody's thinking about Damian Nash.
Nope.
So, that's the thing that sneaks up on you defensively when you play a Kyler Murray who's going to do things off schedule. You have a big name like Marvin Harrison Jr. So my advice to the defense is take care of the little things. Take care of the little things. All those little things that Coach Wilson is telling you to go, don't make it bigger than it is. And I know one of those things, that's a little thing, is take care of the run, regardless who's back there.
Rhett, what about the Cardinals' defense? What do you know about them?
So it's another challenge for this offensive line and Cam Ward. And while it's different than every week is a different flavor, they have stars. The left side of that front is Calais Campbell at 39 years old, who is still just wreaking havoc.
Can you believe he's only 39? I feel like he's got to be 65. He's been in the league for so long.
That's funny. Like, he and I had the same agent, and I remember when he was a rookie and he got drafted.
So
300 years ago, yeah. Whew.
Josh Sweat was their big free agent get. Both of those guys, 22 quarterback pressures, 6 quarterback sacks between the two of them. In fact, the Cardinals as a team, I think, are near the top of the league in quick pass rushes. 27 of those, less than 2.5 seconds, like Big Jeff last week. Darius Robinson is on the other end of that, the second-year man from Missouri, who recorded his first quarterback sack last week against the Seahawks. And then they've got good stuff through the middle level and on out. Baring Browning is another one they brought in as a free agent. But the one that makes this thing tick on the back end is the guy that walks down into the box as the 8th guy, and that's safety Budda Baker. They pay him a lot of money, but he is a run stuffer and a run stopper. He's near the top of the league in that stuff nearly every year, and he already is through 4 games. That's the guy that Tony Pollard and company are going to have to watch.
Yeah, Buda Baker, he makes plays in the passing game. He'll bait you to he'll bait the quarterback into seeing one thing and throwing another. He kind of reminds me, to take it back, Rhett, but you're with me, Bob Sanders from,
Sure.
The
Indianapolis.
Colts from
Sure.
back in the day, where he was just like Bob Sanders was a beast. When you're on the other side as a defender and you're watching your offense out there, and obviously I'm on defense, I can't do nothing for him. And Bob Sanders is just blowing plays up and making plays left and right. It's just so much more gratifying when you see your offense have success against guys like that. And then as a defender, you can go out there and do your job, and then they get to go back out there and ride the momentum. And that's what the Titans need right now as a team, right? They need for the defense to go out there, get a stop, the offense come out, put a drive, put some points on the board, special teams go out, pin them deep, defense do it again, punt, nice punt return. They just need to get a flow of a football game going for 4 quarters. And I think this week is definitely a team that they can get it going against. And look, at 0-4, it can't get any worse. It's time to come together as a team, and the leaders start to lead. You can't be afraid, like you said, Amie, to use your voice if people look to you on Sundays to make plays and be there for them on Sundays. You have to be able to have thick skin at this time of the year, especially when you're not playing well, and accept constructive criticism, because not every time someone says anything to you, it's not an insult. Like, as professionals in any workspace, you take a constructive criticism, So as athletes, I think your skin needs to be a little bit thicker, especially when you're not playing well as a team.
All right.
And let me say this. For the offense, it's obvious because it's been a problem all 4 games, and they have to do something on first and second down to get out of the 3rd and long and get into 3rd and manageable. They got to.
We're going to take one more break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk matchups that we are excited to watch this Sunday as the Titans take on the Cardinals. More after this here on Pinnacle Financial Partners, Titans Tonight. Final segment here on Pinnacle Financial Partners, Titans Tonight with Keith Bulluck, and we are talking matchups to watch as the Tennessee Titans take on the Arizona Cardinals. Programming alert, kickoff for this game is at 2 p.m., which is a little bit different.
2?
2, 3.
Oh, it's 3:05.
Titans kickoff, I guess, is at 2.
We're on the air at 2,
We're
though,
on the air at 2.
with Titans Countdown.
See, this is why I do the programming notes, because I don't even know what time the game is on.
What time is kickoff?
Kickoff is
3:05
3:05 officially.
Yeah,
Yes,
My
Central
bad.
Time.
Taylor Zarzer and Coach Mac Dave McGinnis.
Yep.
Okay.
2 o'clock, Titans Countdown, though. So
Yes.
tune
Join
your
us.
radios. Yeah.
I'll be on the couch by 3.
There you go. Turn on the radio before you get there, though.
It's the best seat.
All right, matchups. Rhett, let's start with you. What matchup are you watching as the Titans take on the Arizona Cardinals?
I want to, going along the lines of what Keith has said throughout the show tonight, I want to see what Arden Key does against this offense and trying to affect and get after Kyler Murray, because it's going to take more than Jeff. It's evidenced by that. It takes the other 10 dudes. I'm going to say watch Arden Key.
All right.
I like that. Sorry. Let me speak into. I like that. I like Arden Key. He got his first sack last week. Got off the Schneid. Honestly, I'm gonna make it very simple. I'm looking forward to see the Tennessee Titans as a team go out and play a 4-quarter game against the Arizona Cardinals, win, lose, or draw. I want to see the offense put up 3 touchdowns. The defense continue, to improve and get better. Maybe the defense in the 4th quarter have to make a stop to get the offense the ball back. And
maybe
get
you a couple of takeaways
Yeah.
like you had earlier in the
have
year.
the offense go down and get a score for the win. Just something for, the offense to get some confidence. Maybe once when they get close, inside the 40 to 30, we just throw the ball into the end zone. I feel there was an opportunity last week when we ran the flea flicker the Texans were in a man-to-man coverage and we're inside the 30, why not throw a one-on-one to Calvin Ridley or Alan Manor? But, that's what you think of as a fan on the couch. It's easy to say from home. So, I just want to see the Titans go out and compete against the Arizona Cardinals in all three phases.
That has been a topic of conversation all week. For the last week or two, actually, it's been 4 quarters of complete football. Maybe this is the week to get it in Arizona.
I think it should be.
All right. That sounds good to me. Rhett, Bryan, anything we forgot to add?
No, I think we have covered it.
Except for the game time.
Well, that's okay. To repeat, we're on the air at 2 with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Titans Countdown. Kickoff officially 3:05 from State Farm Stadium, the house that Coach Mack built. Mm-hmm. Only the second time we've been there.
True.
What matchups are you looking forward to see?
Yeah, how about that?
Oh, my gosh, you guys. I'm excited about watching this Titans defense overall just get after Kyler Murray. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for that. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Jeff to do more big Jeff things and hopefully continue getting some more sacks. Haven't been as many sacks as I want. I like a lot.
I can give you some more. I want to actually see, the Titans play angry. This is a violent game. It gets kind of masked over the way it's spoken about with the analytics and statistics and all those things. Just get back to basics, Just go out there and mess somebody up, play violent, play physical, play fast, and, set the tone of the identity of who you are, where it be on offense or defense or special teams. And, we speak about those teams that, I played on that were 4-12 and 5-11. One thing we were tough. We were going to kick your ass every time we went out on the field, and win, lose, or draw, you were going to know that you played against us. And that was one of the things that was said. Like, even when we weren't a good football team, you knew that you left here in a battle against a physical Tennessee Titan football team. So let's establish an identity with the Titans team overall, with a win or however that works, so we can kind of see and put our finger on, okay, this is what they are, this is what we're doing, or so on and so forth. I personally haven't been able to, and this is word on the street, been able to tell exactly what the identity is thus far.
Well,
let's manifest that with the words of Keith Bulluck.
No, this is a week to establish an identity against the Arizona Cardinals. Titans go on the road for game 2 of their 3-game road trip stretch, and we're excited to watch it. So kickoff is at 3:05, Titans Countdown on the air at 2 o'clock, and we hope to see you there. For Rhett, Bryan, for Keith Bulluck, and me, I'm Amie Wells. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Pinnacle Financial Partners Titans Tonight.